I was looking at the clock in the kitchen and it's a bit slow. And I thought this morning I must change that clock. And I was just loading the dishwasher and I looked up at the clock and I was like, oh, it's fine. It's only just past. And I looked at my watch and I realised it was a bit gone that. So sorry. Good evening. Nice to see you. I hope you guys are well. Sorry that I couldn't come on last Tuesday with you. I missed you. I did miss you guys, but I just needed that time just to have a bit of downtime. I'd had a bit of a tricky day at work and yeah, I wasn't feeling it to be able to come on in the evening to do my live. So here I am today. Tuesdays seem to be a tiring day though. And I do feel, you know, that feeling, that tingling feeling that you're coming down with a cold. I'm starting to get that. So I'm just going to battle through tonight because I don't want to miss another evening. And we'll see how we go. So let's turn you around. I've forgotten to charge my other device, so I'll try and keep up with comments as best I can. Okay, so where are we? Self-care is important. You're right. Thank you, Vicky. Yeah, and I definitely needed it last week. So, right, how are we doing? Good morning, Miss Vicky and Sally Joe. Hi. Hi, Glenna. You're here for my live finally. Oh, I'm so pleased that you could join us live, Glenna. Hi there, Jackie and Valerie and Sue. I think that's it. Hi, Mindy. Okay, so excuse the state of my desk because I've done a quick experiment before I came alive to you in order for me to, rather than wasting time with what doesn't work, hopefully show you what does work. The other thing I could do with is maybe a plainer piece of paper so that, because I'm doing ink on embossing folders, it's helpful to actually see where the ink is going. So I'm just going to clear it to a new page. Let me know how your day's going and how you've all been keeping. Let me know if there's any exciting news or if you've been crafting or anything really. You can chat along in the live. Now, I wonder if this is going to work if I turn it this way. Right, let's get on with this because my nose is getting tickly and ticklier. Oh, there goes my box of tissues. Sorry, it's not very nice to blow your nose on social media. Forgive me. I know, it just sounds disgusting. Right, so somewhere around here, I was so organised. So I grabbed out all my embossing folders and I've been having a little bit of an experiment with them. So Stampin' Up do a selection of embossing folders and some of them are different sizes. I don't know if they're going to sort of look at their sizing because they vary in size and width and depth. No, size and depth. That's what I'm trying to say. So, Jackie says it's been an expensive day, 2 new pairs of glasses and a stinking cold and cough. I've caught it from you then, Jackie. Ah, bonsoir from France. Welcome, Florence. Lovely to see you. Ah, is this your first time here, Florence? So these two come in the set and these are meant for the little machine. I've got that one. This one was, I know it's been around for a long time, but this is actually new to me. This sort of seascape scene. I don't even know what it's called. Then I've got this paint one, this honeycomb, this tree rings one, which I've been using with ink. Welcome, welcome. Please give Florence a very warm welcome. It's lovely to have you here, Florence. Let us know if you're a fellow crafter or if you're just intrigued into what I'm going to do today. Now I did have a wood grain one, but I wanted a more up-to-date one, so I've bought this one. The brickwork, which is really handy. That's a nice one. And this textured, it's like a vintagey one, type type worn type something or other. So it's got a bit of typewriting and it's got like worn paper, so it's very cool. So the one that I mainly want to concentrate tonight on is this one here, which is the seasidey one. Sally Jo's got a kit coming. She's been sorting out arts and crafts paper, a paper pad for covering it, making a book. Oh, that sounds exciting. Okay, so there's lots of things you can actually do with embossing folders other than just run it through your machine to create an emboss. So, excuse me, I'm trying to figure out what I should show you first. Okay, let's just grab out some paper and get started. So one thing that you can do with embossing, oh, I have not changed my settings. Okay, is what did I do? Let's just go straight to the more fun ones, the more watery ones. I had to, like I said, I've had a little experiment already, and I'm going to fairly stick to the same sort of colour palette just because it makes life a bit easier, doesn't it? She says, trying to find the colours that I just used. Okay, and I'm grabbing out my blending brushes. Now, I've tried this with the deboss side, or was it the emboss side? The debossed side. But I wonder what it will look like with the embossed side. So I can show you both results. So I'm grabbing out my ink and I'm grabbing my blending brushes. I'm going to apply ink directly on to the embossing folder. So this is a reason why you need to be able to have a white paper or a surface underneath so that you can actually see what you're doing. Teachers always catch colds during the first couple of months. Yeah, do you know what? To be honest, I've been waiting for it to happen because I've managed to avoid it really. And I've been surprised. I've not got a cold, but I think because we've got the school holidays coming up, that's why. Because, you know, you've got to get a cold in the school holidays, haven't you? It's just your body's starting to feel a bit run down and it needs a break. And then when it stops, it's like, it's about time you have a cold now. You've not had one in a while, I'm going to give you one. So, but, you know, I'd rather be at home with a cold. So if it does actually turn into one, it is what it is, as they say. Right, so I've laid my colour directly onto the embossing folder with my blending brushes. The advantage being you're able to blend those colours a bit more easily, and so they're not as sharp as if we were putting ink directly onto the folder. And I'm going to give this a couple of spritzes with some water. And oh, Jackie says, I'm not a teacher, first cold in 2.5 years. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens with colds, whether it all catches up. I'm going to place down some basic white cardstock. So this is Stamp's paper, which is beautiful for actually doing stamping with. And I'm going to grab out my big machine to run it through. So you need plate 1 and plate 4, which is these here. And we're just going to create our sandwich to roll these through. Now, if you think, oh, she's talking a bit basic for us, we know what we're doing, but I just bear in mind that there's always new people to the channel or people that don't know about crafting. So it's good just to remind that ourselves as crafters, it's good to share. Okay, the paper went slightly askew, but hopefully that won't matter. Oh, wow, look at that. How fun is that? So by giving it a spritz, it's helped to merge those colours even more and helped the depth of the embossing folder. Okay, so that's having the embossed side. So rather than doing that again, I'm going to show you what it looks like with the debossed side. So how I did this one is same technique with my blending brushes, but I did it on the opposite side here. So this is the emboss side with the Stampin' Up symbol, and this is the deboss side at the bottom. Okay, so same concept, you just rub the ink on this side instead if you want this type of technique. And to me, this one reminds me of, you know, when you find fossils and it's really like inlaid. So that was quite fun. But then this is the emboss side. So you get two techniques for one in a sense. Jackie says, I always have to remind myself on the sandwich for embossing folders. I did used to put like a little sticker on my embossing folders and write a 1 and a 4 so that I know which ones to feed it through. So that's one idea. Okay, so what was the other thing I wanted to show you? Right, let's do ink directly to the folder. Okay, and I might blend it in a little bit just to give you an idea. So I'm going to stick with my nice colour palette of these colours. So that's Fresh Freesia. Now this is a little bit more tricky because I'm using the ink pad directly on, so I am left with harsher lines. Just coming a little bit. I'm not trying to kind of concentrate on where things are, but not go too crazy. Now, if you stick around, the other thing I will show you is failed experiments, ones that haven't worked out quite how I've wanted them to work out, or with the folders that I've used. Sometimes it's not about the technique not working, it's sometimes having the right types of products together to make it work. Please can everybody give Miss Kay Jones a very warm happy birthday, which is today. Happy birthday, Miss Kay. Lovely of you to grace us with your presence on your special day. I'm just going to use this to rub it in. Just going to be a bit naughty and have a bit of green and blue so that I don't get those harsh lines that I don't want. Okay, so this is ink directly onto embossing, the embossing side of the folder. Again, I'm going to give it about 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's go in for 4 spritz. Where did I put my paper? And there. Just lay down your paper. A nice way to control your paper, bend it in half. And then once you've committed, commit. And hold everything tightly together. I'm going to bring back my beast. Here we go. Layer 1. So this is for the thicker embossing folders. I think most of the ones they do now are what they call dynamic folders. So they're they're thicker than what I'd call your normal embossing folders. I don't know if I've got any thinner ones. So I guess these ones are thinner, I think. Are they? No, not much thinner. Okay. Right, well done for wishing Kay happy birthday, everybody. I'm sure she'd appreciate all the messages. Right. Okay, now for the fun bit. I'm going to turn it over, open him up. And the nice thing about this particular folder, because it's watery, you've got that nice watery feel. And it's water and ink on plastic, so this is really easy to clean off. Oh my goodness, my nose is just starting to run like crazy. Okay. And ta-da! So we've got a nice, another different effect, nice really watery effect. But what's nice with this also, it's left the white paper coming through where the ink hasn't caught through the emboss. Okay, so that's the difference between like our blended ones that we've done earlier. So that's directly ink to make it much more brighter and shows up more. Okay, let's do another technique for you. I'm going to have to turn all these into cards, aren't I? And so what I'm going to do first is, I need that, and I need that. Let me just have a little think. I'll do the same one. Should I do the same one? No, let's do something different, and then I can show you the other one. Where's the time-worn paper? One disappeared too. Where have you gone? You were there a minute ago. There he is. Right, so I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to run my paper through the machine first with this. We'll see if this works. I'm just going to grab myself another tissue. Oh, last tissue in the box. It's going to have to keep me going. Okay, so layer one. I'm not spritzed this or done anything with it. I'm just literally running it through the embossing folder, through the embossing machine. And this needs the bigger machine because it's the bigger folder. Okay, so then we get left with this lovely effect, which is great on its own, but now I'm going to do double embossing. So I'm going to grab back my seashell-y one. And of course, this will squash down some of the detail from the first embossing. But hopefully what will happen, she says, is that you get a bit of the texture of both. Sorry, and I'm really super close to the camera. Right, let's have a look at this. Might have a little bit of residue of the ink from before. Okay, cool. So hopefully you can see that. So you've got this extra textures in the background. Okay, so yeah, this is glamour. Okay, so now you get this really fun effect with the different texture in the background. So what you can do with this is come in with your brushes and just go over. It's got quite thick. I think it's got wet on my brush. That's why it's laying down the colour a little bit funnily. Funnily? Is that a word? Oh yeah. Oh no, no good. This one might have to find the nearest filing cabinet. Oh yeah, and I got colour on here. So anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to continue flogging this dead horse, she says, but I am. Let's just finish it off. Finish where we started. Make it work. So by adding colour, it will just help those different textures to pop. I need to clean these poor brushes. Get a real stickling from me. Stickling, is that a word? But I just want to, I probably won't keep this because it got a bit smudgy with the purple. But please take the idea from this rather than the actual, take the execution rather than the actual thing. Okay? So it just makes those added textures really pop by adding colour to it. Let me show you here's one I made earlier. So this one came out a little bit better. This one I used that, can you see that, the, what do you call it? Oh, my words have failed me already. The tree effect, wood grain. There you go, wood grain's the word. So this one I ran through the wood grain first, and then I used the seashell one on top, and get these lovely almost like waves through it. So I thought that really suited mixing and matching those. So having a textured embossing with maybe a more fixed design, like it'd work with like a texture with maybe florals, that would work because you want those nice two contrasting patterns. Okay, another thing. Okay, do you want me to show the failed ones? I'm just trying to think. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to show you. So that one was the here's one I done earlier with the smooshing of the colour. So that was okay, but because I didn't blend it, you get these sharp lines. Okay, or just there. One thing. Oh, I will show you this one, or will I? I'll show you my fails. So I had this idea of trying to stamp first and emboss afterwards to see if I could put the stamps where the embossing would go in order to mix and match the pictures. But obviously this is not the same stamp set with the embossing folder because I don't have the stamp set. But it didn't quite work out how I wanted it because you can't see either or. So that was a bit of a fail, but that's okay. Through experimenting, you're going to find what works and what doesn't work. Then I had this idea of wanting to build a scenery and stamp onto my embossing. But again, wrong kind of texture, didn't quite work out how I wanted it to. This sometimes can work, it just depends on the stamps and the emboss. So years ago, a technique was around where there was a vintage car behind birch trees and it looked amazing, and you're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And that's a very similar technique, like a kissing technique, where you put the stamp onto your embossing folder. But this didn't work out for me. I think the stamps weren't detailed enough. Sometimes you have to have block coloured stamps. Okay, and then, so I didn't give up. I tried again with a more blocky stamp, but again, yeah, not great. So thought, okay, let me just try something else, try embossing and then stamping afterwards. But again, it just might just because it's not the right stamp set with the right embossing. That could be the issue, because I'll show you something else in a minute. Then I tried the snowflake stamp set because I thought, oh, this would be a bit interesting to see if you stamped on the embossing folder, what that would look like. But again, nah, don't quite like it. So then this one, too much detail on the folder, exactly. So it would work on some things, but you just got to keep experimenting, have a play, see what works, see what doesn't work. This one I actually used stamps on the embossing folder, but you almost could get away with not using embossing, not using stamps. So this was using the ocean front stamp set. I don't know if I've packed it away. Can't see. Oh, here it is, ocean front. So I used these to create those different layers, and it's okay, but it, you know, I could have easily put the ink directly onto the emboss. You guys like the snowflake one. And I don't think it's necessary to use the stamps to be able to get that look. You know, the blending brushes technique would work on that. So I think I'm going to do, do you know what, guys? I'm flagging. So I'm just going to show you this, and then I think I'm going to hop off because I'm going to go and nurse what I think is my cold coming on. So this was interesting because this was that same stamp set, the ocean front one here. And this was stamped directly on the fern embossing folder. So the fern embossing folder comes with the snowflake one. It's a 2-for-1 set. Excuse me. That runs through the mini cut and emboss machine. So that's the fern, and then that's the snowflake one there. So yeah, I wanted to experiment with what would happen if you stamped directly onto here. And that seemed to have worked out really nicely and gave me a really nice texture. Bob says, how do you do the snowflake? Excuse me. So that is, I stamped with these stamps here onto the, I think it was the top half here. So I got my ink and stamped directly on there. And did I spritz it? Yes. By spritzing it with a couple of water, one, you help to disperse the ink, and two, it just helps the embossing folder to show up the emboss better. It gives you every little detail of the embossing folder. You don't have to spritz it. Even you can, if you're not adding colour, you could spritz it and it just gives that extra vibrancy, but not everyone's got time to spritz before they emboss. So yes, this one, similar technique. So I stamped I stamped directly onto my folder in the various colours. So I chose bold colours, so that one stamped first in Tahitian Tide and then laid a bit of brown and then came in with my leaves. And then you fold that one in, run it through, and you get this, which I thought was really cool because it kind of suited that sea scene. So it doesn't look like fern anymore. I think it looks like something else. So there we go. I hope that's given you lots of ideas and inspiration of what to do with your embossing folders and to go and have a play. You know, the more you have a little play and experiment and you see what works and doesn't work, and often ideas develop. So I knew that with this, I just needed to blend that a bit more to make it work. This worked quite well. I think the double embossing, and I really liked the different textures because it looks more like sea than it looks like wood grain. That's by the flopped one. Yeah, that's the one that was strong colours. And I quite like these ones. If you want a more subtle look, I could see a mermaid stuck on top of these. I don't have one, but if you had a mermaid stamp or something like that, that could work with the blending ones. So there we go. I hope you've, like I said, got some inspiration out of that today. And yeah, go and play. See what works. See what doesn't work so well. And especially if you've got little scrap pieces, don't go wasting all your nice cardstock. If you've got a little bit of scrap pieces left behind, then that would work. Oh no, I'm late, says Karen. I'm afraid so, Karen, but please do check back to see what we've been doing. I've run out of tissues in my craft room, so I can't keep going. Right, let's turn you around and say goodbye. Excuse the state of me. Just catching up on your comments. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I got that embossing folder because it was in Stampin' Up had a sale. Now, what's the promotion at the moment? So they've updated their clearance rack. So go and check that out if you want to shop online with me. If you're in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, and now Belgium and Ireland as well. So if you're in those countries and you want to actually order these embossing folders, or if you're interested in a catalogue and you're in those countries, then I can send you one out for free. Okay. Fab idea, says Jackie. A mermaid is a set with a dragon. Yes, that's right. There is a current one with a dragon, a mermaid, and dragon, a mermaid. What's the other thing in there? It's going to bug me. Oh, sorry, I got my washing behind me. A dragon, a mermaid, and something else. Oh, yes, there is. The joining off is still on. Thank you, Vicky. Not got my head screwed on. And if you want to get a really good deal at the moment and want to kind of get into this as a hobby, a fairy, thank you, Janine. There's a really good offer at the moment for £154 worth. You can get £99 worth of product by signing up as a demonstrator, and you get free shipping because the shipping's gone up recently, so you're even getting free shipping and business supplies as well. Now, don't let that put you off. Don't think, oh, you know, I've got to do all the businessy bit, I've got to do the selling, I've got to have a YouTube channel. No, you don't have to. You might find that you want to, you can, and you do, but if you think, oh, I'd really like that offer, but I don't necessarily want to do all the selling bit, you know, you don't have to do the selling bit. Okay, so please talk to me, email me about it, and we can have a little chat. So my email address is stampinstarcreations@gmail.com. Okay, my lovelies, I should be able to be on next Tuesday, God willing. Yeah, I should be around. I will be on school holidays, so I should have time to hop on. I'm going to stick to my usual 8:30 time. I know it's not ideal for some of you, and I do appreciate those catching on replay. Oh, thank you, Vicky, for doing your admin bit. I always appreciate it. It's so helpful. She says, Esther will make a great team leader. Thank you. I do have a team under me already, so I think, you know, just get their testimonials, not just mine. Lovely to see you all. Sorry if I've missed your comments. I'm afraid I haven't got my other device in front of me. And when you're crafting as well, sometimes they do get missed. It's not deliberate at all. Sometimes they just fly by and I don't get to see them. So take care of yourselves. God bless. Lovely to see you all. Thank you for hopping on with me tonight. And if you're not already subscribing, you can hit that subscribe button. I'm off, yeah, I've got plenty of ginger, so I'll go and sort myself out with some vitamin C and ginger and all good things like that. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye for now, everybody. Bye.